what has happened here in Israel in the past, it's about half a year or a little more. It's actually very, many people worry what's going to happen to this country, including myself. I'm also worried. Before I start explaining to you what's really going on, why there are demonstrations and what this reform of the Israeli Supreme Court is about, I'm going to tell you this in a different video. But what you have to understand, what you really have to understand is that the demonstrations taking place here from the radical or extreme left, whatever you want to call it, are not really because of the Supreme Court reform. It is about, and they admit it, it is about taking down the government. When the Likud with Benjamin Netanyahu and today's present government came back to power in November last year, the left, the opposition, they just couldn't take it. They just couldn't take it. And since they've been trying to, start all kinds of arguments, all kinds of riots, you can say riots, demonstrations, illegal acts, illegal riots, blocking roads illegally, it doesn't matter. There are no limits anymore. There are just no limits anymore. They can't accept that there is a right-wing government, and they just can't accept it, and they don't want to accept it. They try their best to take down this government no matter what. And this is the main reason for the demonstrations. Of course, in each Israeli demonstration, you have little groups, every group wants something else. One group is more radical, one less, but you have different kinds of agendas. But here the main agenda is to take down the government and to get back into power. And this would be a left-wing dictatorship. I mean, just look what they are doing. What you probably won't see abroad is they started with it, but they still continue. But it's mostly demonstrations taking place in Tel Aviv. That Israeli Jewish leftist demonstrators wave Palestinian flags. What you see at many demonstrations taking place in Tel Aviv, and the media won't show this. Here the media showed it and people went nuts all over the country. So then they changed to waving Israeli flags. But they still wave a lot of Palestinian flags. But when they started out with the demonstrations, I think it was in December, January something, you could see hundreds of Palestinian flags being waved by Jews in Tel Aviv, by the leftists. And the Palestinians and Hamas and Arab countries are just laughing about this. They are just laughing about them. Our enemies, like Hamas, Hezbollah, other Arab countries, Iran, they see a weak Israel. And I don't know, it's just a matter of when they attack. Hezbollah in Lebanon is already getting ready. This is what they see, a weak Israel, because here soldiers on reserve duty, they just boycott the army. They say, we are not coming to our reserve duty. We are not coming to do this. We are against this government, so we are not working for this government. And I don't know if there's any country in the world where you have soldiers or the army, the military, says, if we have this kind of government, so we're going to do our duty, and if we have someone else in the government, So we are, we are on strike. We are not doing anything. Let's say Trump is president, or someone else, like the Republicans are in power in the White House. So the American military says, we don't like you, we want the Democrats, and we are not ready to defend the country, we are on strike. And this is partly what's happening in Israel. Of course, not all soldiers. But, you have this leftist mindset with no Jewish identity, no nothing. And they just want to take down the government. Arab countries are laughing. And Arabs, as I said, they see a weak Israel and they just think, maybe let's wait and see when the Jews start killing each other, and so then we attack and it will be very easy for us. What happened here, what was it, in July, is actually very worrying, because it's not only the army joining these protests, but it's also companies and hospitals. So hospitals here in Israel have entered politics, so to speak. And what will our future be? Going to the hospital as a patient, and there you will be asked, excuse me, are you left or right? Let's say, are you Likud or whatever? Or are you a Democrat or a Republican? If you're a Republican, sorry, we don't treat you, get out. And it looks like this may be the future here in Israel, because many doctors, hospital staff, whatever, have joined these demonstrations. And a few weeks ago, within 1 week, there were a few hospitals on strike not receiving patients. They said, get out, we don't treat you, get out. And those are hospitals that are internationally known and also funded or receiving lots of donations from the United States. And I think you should know that. You should be aware of that. That hospitals here in Israel send patients home, cancel all appointments, surgeries, MRIs, whatever, in order to go out into the street and demonstrate against the government. And this is what has happened a few weeks ago, twice within a week. Twice within a week. Patients' appointments were cancelled. So how long do you wait to get an MRI appointment in Israel? You wait for 6 months, 6 months minimum. So then finally your appointment comes, your tumors grow, whatever. It also includes children, by the way, children's appointments. And finally you have your appointment, and these idiot doctors, leftists, go on strike and tell you, you know what, get out, we don't give a shit about you, get out, we want to go and demonstrate. And this is what has happened twice within the past few weeks. Twice in a week. What was working were the oncologies, but I don't know how far or how much. Surgeries were all cancelled except for like emergency stuff, and the ERs were working, but everything else was cancelled. The hospitals were Ichilov in Tel Aviv, Beilinson in Petach Tikva. Beilinson is well known to be a very leftist hospital, actually also with very bad patient reviews. Who else? I think Rambam in Haifa. I don't know who else. if the others really joined. In Jerusalem, Shaarei Tzedek did not join. They were open as usual. But I have to say, as an oncology patient, as a previous or former oncology patient of Shaarei Tzedek, I switched to, as I told you, I switched to Hadassah in Kerem in March, 5 months ago. But when I was still with Shaarei Tzedek in the oncology, I think it was in January, February, I saw one of the leading oncologists having an Israeli flag around his shoulders, wrapped around his shoulders and walking around like that. So he showed openly his protest against the government. And I think this should never happen in any hospital. That doctors, run around with political statements openly. I'm still upset. I should have complained about him, but the question is, the hospital wouldn't have done anything. But there are 2 more oncologists in Shaarei Tzedek who are also very leftist and writing very negative stuff on their Facebook pages. At least 2, if not more. So you have this guy, this oncologist, showing his political views openly, and you have 2 others. When you come to the hospital as a patient, you don't want to discuss politics. You don't want to have any propaganda. You are sick and you want to get treatment. This is what is important. And I don't want doctors or nurses or whatever showing their political statements openly. And it also gives you a bad feeling because I'm right-wing, I'm not with the leftists. And if I had to go to this doctor and he shows his flag and whatever statement, you don't feel comfortable as a patient. You feel like he's your enemy and you are his enemy, whatever. So it doesn't really work together. So political propaganda should stay out of the hospitals. So Shaarei Tzedek, however, did not join the demonstrations, but you have certain doctors, I know this from the oncology, showing their political opinion openly. Hadassah and Kerem and Har HaTzufim, like Mount Scopus, they were also not joining. I haven't seen any political statements there. They are very professional in any way. And they're, in my opinion, they are much more professional than Shaarei Tzedek, and this is also why I switched to Hadassah. But there was even a doctor a few days ago from Hadassah and Kerem, and he spoke out against these demonstrations, like doctors joining the demonstrations, because doctors should be there for the patient and not go into politics and not look at the patient at who is on my side, who is the opposition or whatever. You should treat everybody, and this is happening in Israel. Everybody's being treated. It doesn't matter if someone is Jewish, Christian, or Palestinian, like Muslim. It doesn't matter. The hospitals are full with everybody. And there shouldn't be a political statement being made, and not the hospitals being closed because I don't like the government. So these hospitals joining the protest, like Ichilov, Beilinson, Provi Rambam, it shows that they don't care about patients. They just shut the doors and that's it. Who also, by the way, did not join was the Sheba Hospital, Tel HaShomer, near Tel Aviv. My guess is actually a friend of mine told me that, she said, why they didn't join? Because of funding. They get international funding. Of course, Hadassah and Kerem also gets international funding, but they have a little different mindset, I suppose. They wouldn't just shut their doors, hopefully. But Tel HaShomer didn't join, and I'm sure my friend was right. They didn't join because of international funding. And they are internationally listed on one of the best hospitals in the world. Hadassah is. I think Tel HaShomer as well. And now, the United States, or whoever is funding them, and they're kicking out patients. They say, we don't like you anymore. We are joining protests against the government. Get out, patients. We don't care about you. Just get out. So also Tel HaShomer couldn't have done this, because if this news is spreading, fundings may be cut. But there was a doctor from Tel HaShomer, I forgot his name. I think he is a neurologist, and he announced, as well as many other doctors from the coastline more, that they want to quit and leave Israel as a protest because of the government. So they don't want to live here anymore, they don't like the government, they want to work abroad. I think 300 doctors or something said so, also one, this neurologist from Tel HaShomer. And the question is, where do they want to go? Of course, many Israeli doctors dream about going to the United States, making a lot of money and everything, but I think then they found out that when you as an Israeli doctor go to the US, you have to undergo tests and 2 years of additional training, because the Israeli degree is not really recognized, so you have to have an American degree and in order to work in the United States as a doctor. So it takes time. So I think people got the message, and I thought maybe they would go to Germany. But in Germany they face a different problem. Germany is full of Muslim migrants, and you have family clans from Lebanon and I don't know from where. So then these Israeli doctors are coming, and guess what? They're Pakistanis, Muslims from Afghanistan, Syria, Northern Africa. And as soon as they find out this doctor is Israeli, he's gonna get hell. They're gonna kick him out, they throw him out of the window. I don't know what they're gonna do, but they're gonna do something. So many Israeli doctors, guess what their decision is? They may go to Arab countries, to Qatar, to Saudi Arabia, to Dubai, I don't know where, in order to work there. So what they basically do is they say, there is no democracy here in Israel. We don't like this government. We are not free anymore because this government is like destroying democracy, which is not true, but this is what the left says. So we are going abroad, fine. But then they go to Arab countries. So in Qatar, Dubai, or anywhere else, is there a democracy? There's no democracy. There is you have to follow the rules are strict, and there is no real freedom, or not too much of a freedom. So here they say, the doctors say, Israel is not a democracy anymore, but they go to countries where there is a dictatorship. There is no logic, right? But my opinion is that many doctors also going onto these demonstrations, they are just after money. They don't really care about patients, they are after money. This is what I think. But I think that also you in the United States should know what is really going on in Israel, because you are also funding certain hospitals. And you should really look into this. It can't be, and I hope this is not our future, that in the future you are being treated or not treated according to your uh, political, I don't know, where you are. If you are left wing, right wing, whatever, according to your political mindset, or for whom you are voting. And if they don't like it, if you say you're going to vote Republican and they don't like it and they kick you out, or if you vote for the Democrats and the hospital kicks you out because they only treat Republicans, it can't be that, people are being treated according to their political views. And if others don't like it, get out. Unfortunately, certain hospitals in Israel are really on the way to this kind of mindset. Especially Beilinson, Ichilov, who kicked out patients because the doctors had to demonstrate. So now patients have to wait for another surgery appointment, another MRI, another CT, another whatever treatment, because nobody cares. The hospital staff has to be on the street and demonstrate against the government. So what does it show you? They don't care about patients. I'm not saying that everybody from Ichilov is a leftist. I'm sure there are also other people who didn't want to shut down the hospital, who didn't want to go to demonstrate, and they probably didn't demonstrate. But because the leftist co-workers shut down the hospital doors, so the others also couldn't get in and they didn't want to get into trouble. It's a very sad world we are living in, where you can't even express your opinion. Here in Israel you can. Israelis are very different. They don't shut up. But hospitals are joining. It's actually very, very sad. And as a patient, especially as an oncology patient, you think what the future could be, Otherwise they tell you, like, get out. But on the other hand, I also think that organizations, international organizations funding hospitals, especially those at the coast I'm talking about, should know that those hospitals, that this hospital staff demonstrates against the government and receives international funding. So maybe you should look into this, into the funding, because they kick out patients. How can it be that a hospital is internationally known and recognized and accepted, but on the other hand, it kicks out patients and it cancels all appointments so that the doctors can go out and demonstrate against the government? Yeah, what can I say? Shabbat is coming in a few hours, and actually I should be talking about something, enjoyable, something, that makes you happy. But this is reality here in Israel. Now it's August, so people are on a vacation. Then the high holidays are coming next month. Rosh Hashanah is not too far away anymore. And we will see what's going to happen then. I'm sure that in September demonstrations will be on again, probably also in hospitals. So take care of your appointments if you have one. So I wish you Shabbat Shalom. Next week the month of Elul is starting, so I also wish you Chodesh Tov, and see you in the next video. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this didn't sound too much like George Orwell and his book 1900 when was it 84, where everything is changed and everything is, you can't have your own opinion anymore and whatever. But well, apparently this is what's happening to the world. Like maybe the book is becoming true. I don't know. I don't know. I hope not. And Baruch Hashem, there are many people like showing or expressing their own opinions and having a different mindset, and not going this with this vogue ideas or whatever. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.